Hello, good evening. This is Business Live. My name is Darryl Kwao. Coming up tonight, local pharmaceutical companies race against time to meet demand for essential drugs as Ghana's coronavirus cases pass 2,000. As industries take a hit by coronavirus, we explore how they can survive in these times. We'll tell you about a Joy Business Industrialization Forum set to take place tomorrow. Also tonight, the arts industry is not being spared the impact of coronavirus pandemic. Profits are declining. We have a report just ahead. Thanks for being with us tonight. Details after this break. Welcome back, everyone. Tonight in our summaries, domestic airline operators have resumed services, and Warren Buffett has stamped U.S. airline stocks, saying the world has changed. Details next.
Ghana has become the first African country to resume partial flight services with the reopening of domestic flight services in the wake of the coronavirus pandemic. Middle row seats had been left vacant to ensure social distancing on board the flights. This, according to the Chief Operations Officer for Africa World Airlines, will however not change the prices of tickets. The partial commencement of flight operations was preceded by thorough fumigation of the various regional airports and the introduction of new enhanced COVID-19 safety protocols. Agricultural Development Bank of Ghana has reported a decline in its 2020 first quarter profit, according to a statement the company filed to the Ghana Stock Exchange. Net profit for the company decreased to 13.300 million cedis compared to 20.826 million cedis made during the same period last year. This represents a 36% fall in profit compared to quarter one of 2019. Managing Director of the Bulk Oil Storage and Transportation, Bost Edwin Provençal, has noted that most of the infrastructure belonging to the company are obsolete. He said some of them have broken down because they are old, a situation he said is negatively impacting the work of the company. To that end, he has requested for the approval of the 3% Bost margin to enable the company to refurbish or provide new infrastructure. Months of anti-government protests and the U.S.-China trade war forced Hong Kong into its first recession in a decade last year. Now the coronavirus risks plunging the Asian financial hub into its worst-ever slump. Hong Kong's economy shrunk 8.9% in the January to March period compared to a year earlier, according to estimates released by the government on Monday. It's the third straight quarter of contraction for the trade and finance hub and its worst quarterly drop since records began in 1974. Warren Buffett, the legendary American investor, has sold his firm's entire holdings in the 4 major U.S. airlines, warning that the world has changed for the aviation industry because of the coronavirus crisis. In comments that will send shockwaves through financial markets already pulverized by the economic shock of the outbreak, Buffett said the outbreak could have an extraordinarily wide range of possible outcomes.
Tonight, traders at the Accra Arts Center are counting their losses as coronavirus hits hard on Ghana's arts industry, having raked in millions of cedis in revenue from the Year of Return and Beyond Return initiatives by government. A visit to the center by my colleague Charles Aite shows that the majority of traders have closed their shops, leaving the once vibrant arts center a ghost market. There's more in this report.
Day in and day out, the Accra Arts Center hosts thousands of tourists and revelers of African art. This center, which hosts over 3,000 curators of arts and crafts, rakes in about 50,000 cedis a day. But things have taken a dramatic turn since the coronavirus struck in Ghana.
Almost 2 weeks now. Nothing actually is going on. The market is as dull as anything.
Kwame Amachi oversees traders here who deal in the sale of kente, a rich hand-woven traditional cloth that sells faster than any traditional material at the art center. He says traders are biting their nails in despair.
If previously we were doing, let me say, like 10,000 a week, currently nothing is going on. So people are coming here whereby they don't get anything. So they don't really want to come. That's why the shop's majority is closed. I can tell you, if you go around, majority can tell you nothing is really going on.
This side?
Yeah.
So he'll be showing us the shops that have been closed down amidst COVID-19 and its effects on the art center here in Accra. Okay.
You can see. Look at the empty shops. You see? You see? We continue. Empty shops. We are trying to engage the government due to that loan for small businesses. Yeah, that's what we are trying to work on it so that we can get something for our members to also start business with, because these ones indirectly their business is almost done.
I came across Ejuri Blankson, a shop owner at the art center, already counting his losses.
Massa, I cannot even tell you so much. This thing I can't even think about it. It's very bad, especially our business, because we were dealing with the foreigners. So now they won't come. They won't come, so we are down. Can't you see all the market closed? Yeah, because of the COVID-19.
And the good probably I would say is can start from 1,000 or we can make it. And today, as I'm standing here, or you're interviewing me, even a penny of Peswa is out totally.
During the year of return, the art center here in Accra was kind of a gold mine for thousands of tourists who thronged this particular place to buy for themselves African paraphernalia and everything traditional. But you can see around me the empty shops and the virtually empty spaces here at the art center. Traders are saying that they want government to intervene as a matter of urgency. They want their shops reopened and they want business back to normal. But in the scourge of COVID-19, they remain uncertain as to whether or not their business could survive or collapse in the long run. I'm Charles Aite for Joy Business.
Sad situation there. Well, as coronavirus eats the profits of industries and hits hard on growth of the sector, many businesses are faced with the choice of either shutting down or finding resources to survive. Well, Joy Business will be engaging industry players in the forum, and we are asking, on the track to industrialization, will COVID-19 provide the catalyst for self-sufficiency? I have been speaking to Joy Business Assistant Editor Odilia Intiamwa ahead of the event.
Industrialization roundtable is actually happening at Casapreco because, of course, we want to have industrialization conversation in an industrialized environment, and so that's why we're doing it at Casapreco. We're expecting to have the Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry. We're also having the CEO for the GIPC. We're also having West Africa's Group CEO for Blue Skies. We're also having an expert, a tax expert, to talk about the tax dynamics. If we want to be self-reliant and we'll be able to be self-sufficient, we need to be able to grant some tax holidays, and so that person will bring a perspective in relation to the tax regime. And then we'll also have a conversation with an inventor who's actually, through this COVID times and even before COVID times, has had a lot of inventions. I will also like to see during the conversation some places within the city that conversations will go on in relation to exactly what's happening in the markets. If you pick 10 items at random, will all of these items be items that are produced in Ghana? If not, why are we having this level of importation? We want to have all of that in the discussion. We'll be having a look at issues relating to the ease of doing business in Ghana, the business barometer that AGI has been releasing every time. Exactly what does government make of it? How do policymakers even consume this kind of information, and what steps have been taken towards self-sufficiency, especially during this COVID times? Will this actually be what we as a country will latch on to actually promote industrialization in the country? These are all conversations we'll be having tomorrow.
Okay. And I'm sure that you are engaging industry players ahead of this all-important conversation. What sentiments are you picking up?
What I'm picking from a lot of the people I've spoken with is generally an excitement to say that this is long overdue, to also say that, yes, perhaps having this 3-hour conversation on industrialization and really tabling issues will actually add some impetus to what we have already been actually pushing. For example, the cost of electricity, the CD volatility, issues also relating to raw materials. And so all of this put together brings some level of excitement, and for them, they see this as like a mouthpiece to actually speak for them when it comes to industrialization.
Yes, and we've been talking about producing domestically, and I guess it has become very important because of what we are seeing with the coronavirus pandemic.
That's true. That's true. If you remember, before we went on lockdown, India decided that they were not actually allowing any importation of drugs from India, certain drugs. And so that quickly set the pharmaceutical sector actually working. And also, everybody who was producing some level of sanitizers were not willing to export to other countries that were actually struggling. And so we're just wondering that we don't know what other triggers can be pulled in the future. And so why don't we prepare so that when those kinds of triggers are pulled, we are not caught pants down.
Okay. And so there's a ban on mass gatherings. So how is this going to play out? I mean, how are we going to have this conversation?
Okay, so we're having live equipment sent to some of our speakers from various locations, and then we're doing a highly social distancing discussion at the factory of Casapreco, a huge factory where we will have, where we will see the real activities that are done in Casapreco, for example. And so that's how our conversation is going to look like. People can send their questions or their various issues on Facebook, on Twitter, on any other social media platform, on our Joy Business handles on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and all the other social media platforms. We will read their messages, and then they can also send, if they want to send a video of how their companies have been ravaged or exactly how the COVID affects their businesses, they could also send that on WhatsApp on 0244 604224.
Okay, so it's going to be on radio, TV, and online. So do make a date. That is tomorrow, 5th of May, from 9 o'clock, as you heard, radio, TV, and online. So local pharmaceutical companies are racing against time to meet demand for essential drugs, including researching into a vaccine and supportive care, as Ghana records more than 2,000 cases of coronavirus. Already 15 major indigenous pharmaceutical firms are only able to meet 30% of Ghana's demand for essential drugs, with the remaining 70% imported mostly from India. In the following report, Charles Aite interrogates the preparedness of these companies benefiting from a $30 million support from Ghana Exim Bank.
With disruptions COVID-19 has had on the global economy, countries like India have halted the export of essential drug ingredients. This has left local pharmaceutical companies no option but to ramp up production. Ernest Bediako Sampon is the Chief Executive Officer of Ernest Chemists Limited.
The cost of labor here is a bit cheaper than the cost of labor in Europe. So there's going to be a lot of savings. So the products will far be cheaper than some of the products that we source from outside the country.
Increasing local production of essential drugs from 30% to 70% will mean an increase in manpower and capital. Director of Cuckoo Pharmaceuticals, Aboagye-Wiafe, says much investment is being pumped in to expand production lines.
What is going to happen is that if we are getting more, let me say, more orders from the government, we are going to increase our production, and that will affect the overall overhead cost. So the cost will come down, and it will be a very good thing for us.
The chief executive of Pharmanova and Atlantic Life Sciences, Aboagye-Wiafe, said the company would focus on the production of vaccines and other essential drugs.
Innovative products of infusions, eye drops, and vaccines and sera.
So far, senior officials and board members of the Ghana Exim Bank have told some of these local pharmaceutical companies benefiting from a $60 million funding. Larissa Jinsam is chief executive of Ghana Exim Bank.
These are the two key industries that are supporting our fight for the COVID-19, of which Ghana Exim Bank has already made 200 million Ghana cedis into the pharmaceutical industry. Here we are with a factory that's almost about 80% completed, Atlantic Life Science.
With a strong local pharmaceutical industry, Ghana's fight against the novel coronavirus can be optimistic. But then, industry players say some stimulus packages and tax waivers could write off some cost incurred from production. I'm Charles Aite for Joy Business.
And again, as Ghana's cases of coronavirus pass 2,000, commercial banks are positioning themselves to improve on their services online and engage customers on social media platforms to minimize human interaction. It is for this reason that United Bank for Africa has introduced a new virtual system known as Leo, which offers customers the opportunity to engage and conduct their banking services in real time. There is more on the launch of the Leo virtual banking platform.
As the outbreak continues to wreak havoc on economies, human interactions are expected to reduce significantly in order to stop the spread of the virus. In view of this, the UBA, one of the few banks in the country driving digital innovation for its customers, has introduced the new virtual system known as Leo. Head of digital banking at UBA, Kenneth Iguanyi, said the introduction of Leo in Ghana could not come at a better time.
Leo is the first chatbot in Ghana. Leo is just the name we give to this artificial intelligence platform that we rolled out. And what it does is that it underscores our innovation as a bank, because we are the first bank to roll out this kind of products in Ghana and across most African countries, as a matter of fact. And the feedback we've gotten so far is just so awesome, because Leo could not have come at a better time than now.
Head of Marketing and Corporate Affairs at UBA Ghana, Emmanuel Japasu, used the opportunity to urge all customers to make use of the digital platform to transact business, as it's their way of contributing to the fight against the COVID-19.
UBA has realized that it is important for us to change to suit our customers. Leo is a platform that is going to help us digitalize and also do all our banking transactions on social media. Imagine you get up in the morning and you start your banking transaction on social media and you end on social media. That is the excitement that we are bringing, allowing the world to observe all the WHO solutions to trying to fight this pandemic. So it's a forward-thinking kind of product.
Leo has been adopted in some other 19 African countries by the UBA Group.
In other news, wholesalers and retailers of steel products, including iron rods, have described as unacceptable the increase in prices by 7 steel manufacturing companies operating in Ghana. The companies B5 Plus, United Steel, Tama Steel, and Ryder Steel Company Limited, amongst others, have announced an upward adjustment in prices of mild steel. There is more in this report.
Information picked up by Joy Business shows that the increment by the 7 steel companies, which are alleged to have formed a cartel, has been happening on a monthly basis since November 2019. A message sent to all wholesalers intercepted by Joy Business reads, quote, "Please find attached the following as mild steel rods price schedule with effect from the 1st of March 2020. Mild steel with 10, 11, 5.12, 5.12, 14 and 80 millimeters now sells at 3,200 cedis instead of the 3,000 cedis. Also, 20 millimeters now sells at 3,280 cedis instead of 2,900 cedis. Similar messages were sent in November, December, January and February, culminating in an almost 100% increment in steel products. This latest increment comes on the back of the president's announcement of 50% reduction in electricity cost for all businesses and individuals above the poverty line, among measures to cushion the country against the impacts of COVID-19. Further checks suggest that the companies which enjoy exclusive manufacturing of iron rods and other steel products because of government's ban on the importation of steel created artificial shortage of the products to force the wholesalers and retailers to buy at their expected prices. This has pushed wholesalers in the steel business to call on the president, the Minister for Trade, to look into the matter, describing the development as cheating, especially in these troubling times when coronavirus is already eating their profits.
Now, ever imagined a cocoa farm in northern Ghana and particularly the Upper East region? Well, that is the rare initiative by Apam Zebila Azurago Alituba of Zebila, whose concern about sustenance of crops is not the climate but stray animals. He's compelled to spend the night on the farm in order to ward off grazing animals which are destroying his cocoa trees. Last year, he harvested only 2 bags of cocoa beans from the 2-acre land. Mr. Alituba believes the harvest could have been higher, but for some challenges. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin reports.
A busy day for Mr. Azurago Alituba here at Teshi in the Boku West district of the Upper East region. Mr. Alituba's father tried in the past to cultivate cocoa but failed woefully due to the severe and harsh weather conditions in this part of the country. Brother's finger, I brought some of the pods to cultivate. In fact, to continue from where my father left, there was a common belief that cocoa wouldn't do well here because of the destruction by animals and other factors. So when I tried, I realized otherwise. I actually brought the pods from Abofo in the Ashanti region. Cocoa does well in humid tropical climates with regular rains and short dry season. Attempting to grow the crop in an environment such as what pertains in the Upper East region was virtually unheard of. However, that is what the 63-year-old has committed to do, and he is determined to succeed or die trying. What I have also been able to achieve here in the Upper East region is this cocoa farm. Initially, many people doubted, but if hunger strikes, you will surely work hard. That is why I also cultivate cocoa. It was a common notion that even one tree of cocoa would not grow here, but here we are today. He started this farm 6 years ago with cocoa pods he had brought from the Ashanti region. Last year, he harvested only 2 bags of cocoa beans from this 2-acre land. Mr. Alituba believes the harvest could have been higher, but for some challenges, I have no access to fertilizer, lack of continuous supply of water, and even efficient water pumps to facilitate irrigation. These are the major challenges I face here. So if I have all of this and I'm able to expand my farm, many people will join me, and at the end of the day, there would be some kind of development here. But because it is only me, it doesn't encourage others to also go into the cocoa cultivation.
My father, and then the challenges that he has here, he needs a lot of help, especially like the nest. Somewhere much like this, the animals do disturb, and then he doesn't have enough sleep. So we are appealing to the government to come to our aid, my father's aid, and help him with this net and then the pesticides like the fertilizer, and then is it the pumping machine, so that it will be able to enhance the growth of the crops and then the cash crops that he's doing. So we are appealing to the government to help us.
Now I have 2 acres of cocoa farm. I have to constantly pay attention because of animals. I am even lucky the tomatoes farmers are here. Once they are done with the season, it means I have to find a way of fencing the entire farm to prevent it from destruction. Mr. Alituba relies on the dugout he created on the farm to irrigate his crops. Alituba wants to expand his farm to become one of the best cocoa farmers in the country. Whether he can overcome the harsh climate to reach that dream remains a challenge he must clear.
Great stuff, and that's Business Live tonight. Thanks for watching. My name is Daryl Kwao.